Good day everyone, teachers and classmates from BSHM1A. Good day. So at this time we will going to discuss about the chapter 9 of two books, which is the Business Organization and Management, or the BOAM, and the TQM, which is the Total Quality of Management. So before that, let me first introduce my group mates or the reporters of this chapter. Apari Gerald T, Vistal Adonis T, Esperanza Luvidisi A, Asni Irish S, Ondoy Marjorie, and Rinius Angel. So we are the reporters of Group 9. So now let's start. So business organization and management. When we say business organization and management, it talks about the business on how you how you organize the business as a manager or as a leader of a business, or maybe as a worker or an employer of a business. So we tackled that here in our chapter, within our report. So now let's begin. So we have here the organization of personnel. Did you know that the most complicated problem of business is people? So we are the complicated problem of business because technical process may be mastered, requirements of materials may be corrected, figured, plans and offices may be built according to required specifications, and intricate machines may be devised to perform with accuracy. But if the human elements in business are disregarded, trouble is ahead. Human beings essentially differ from each other. They cannot be standardized like inanimate things. They are dynamic, not static. So take note for that. The most certain thing about people is their uncertainty. Without knowing knowledge, without ideas of the people, of course, they are prone to complicated problem in business. And that's why we are really, it's really important to know the knowledge, the ideas on to know what you are going to do in business or in any job that you can encounter. So that's why we need to study, we need to have ideas on how to do the things that maybe you can improve it. So human beings are also to a certain extent selfish both by nature and by environment. A person who is an altruist is one who has regard for and is devoted to the interest of others than himself alone. Altruism is a desirable trait to be aspired but is generally hard to find among people in its idea form. There are some people who seem to lack even a trace of altruism in their makeup. Still others believe that there is such a thing as enlightenment itself, interest which may be made to benefit everybody through cooperation. Thus, self-interest and the welfare of others do not have to conflict with each other. Both can be achieved or satisfied at the same time. So there's a lot of people that they are a certain extent or selfish, but there are also a people that their behavior is like an altruism, who cares for everything, who cares for everybody or the other people. So it's really important to have a behaviors like an altruism, because some people are selfish but they are not doing something like their interests are very different from other people, but they say that self-interest and the welfare of others do not have to conflict with each other. It's really need, not opposite interest from others, but it's pareha lang yun ang interest, because people, or we all, are deserve to achieve or satisfied at the same time. And we have also the basic personal problem. The basic personal problem, it is that the employer has work to be done. The employee wants to receive for his work enough money to live according to the standard of living as established for himself. When the employer has to pay too much to get the work done, the increased cost will reflected in the higher price of the finished product, to the point of diminishing orders from customers. On the other hand, if the employee cannot get the money that he thinks he is worth, he will leave the job or look for another job elsewhere. So that is the basic personal problem. There is a lot of people or the workers, especially here in Philippines. They have a really low salaries, even they are professional workers, but their salary is not enough in their lifestyle, in their standards of living. So that's why this is also considered as the basic personal problem. Because when the people are expecting for their salaries, high salaries, of course, once the people are makakuha na siya sa iyang salary, and then lahi ang iyang gi-expect nga unsa kada kuon, of course, maybe mas mo choose na lang sila nga muhawa na lang sa ilang trabaho. And that's why there's many people travel or work in abroad, no, because dollars and pesos are different equivalent. So that's why they choose to travel outside in our country and to work, no, to have a big salaries. So that was also a basic personal problem. So increasing the efficiency of the workers. The desires of the employer to bring down his cost of production and the desire of the employee to have adequate returns from his efforts are two economic objectives acting opposite each other and which must have to be reconciled. But objectives may be attained by increasing the efficiency of the workers. This simply means making it possible for an employee to accomplish more work with less effort and less time. So the efficiency of workers are really important, really important, because when you have a lot of knowledge, you have many knowledge ideas on how to do the work or the job. Because I really experienced for this as me as a student. When I was in high school, I taking a immersion. I am an immersionist, and then so the establishment I work is the BPSTIA Tagbilaran, and I work there, and it's really challenging for me because the work is really my expectation is really different, no, because we're just our teacher are just teaching us on how to do like that, but in the real work in the restaurant or catering services is really different in my expectation, and there is a lot of things that we need to discover, we need to know first. That's why the efficiency of workers as we need to improve it, no, once you are inside in the work in the establishment. So you need to be knowledgeable, no, because para you are very aware on what maybe the risk will come, because of course the rest in the works are really kuan na siya trending, no, na siya always mahitabo gina siya, especially in the BPSTIA is very our customers or our guests are all professionals, because the teachers or any professional workers are anak sila mag-seminar, and that's why I assigned as a server, food server. So that's why I really discovered many lot of things, no, na dapat unsa pay mga dapat i-improve, and unsay mga trabaho nga nabuhat nako before nga need siyang ihawa, need siyang ipuno, and need siyang i-improve for the success, no, para jud nga nindot kayo ang dagan sa trabaho. And that's why the efficiency of workers are really important in the work or in the real work. Good. So efficiency is usually enhanced by the proved personnel methods, which can increase the worker's output 2 or 3 times, lower the production cost, and increase wages simultaneously. Training is an example of an important factor responsible for the increased efficiency of the worker. And the personnel function is involved with the relationship of management to employees and of employees among themselves in all matters except the actual productive processes themselves. So as what I'd say, efficiency of our workers is really important, because if you are a knowledgeable workers, of course the work is less hassle, less time, because you already know what we are going to do. You are advanced, no. So that's why usually enhanced by proved personal methods, which can increase the worker's output 2 or 3 times, no. Also, there is also in the establishment, if you are a skillful worker, your manager or maybe the leader of that establishment, they give you a rewards, no, if you are really active and skillful, no. It depends on the time, and if your efficiency is really improving, so that's why the manager or the leader of that establishment will give you a additional output, and that's why your wage or your salaries will get high. So the direction and control of the human resources is called manpower management. So that is the sources or the source of control of human direction, and that's why that is called manpower management. It includes not only personal organization and administration, but the handling of line employee by their line supervisors. Industrial relationship is a term gaining wider acceptance in present-day business organization, and highlights the growing importance of labor management relationships as a factor to be reckoned when in business. Whatever name is given to the personal function, the objectives remain the same: to obtain capable employees, to utilize their efforts effectively, and to maintain a willingness to work to achieve the purpose of the organization. So the successful personal organization and administration, there are six main factors involved. So six factors. So first we have analysis of the job. It's really important for the job because ang pagsusuri of the job is it's really important for the job, the workers or the employees, because we need first to discover your skills, discover your talents in that job, your ideas. No, you need to have a advanced knowledge before you enter of that job because the rest of an establishment or the work is na siya, prone of rest jud na siya. So that's why we need first discover our talents in what we are going to, because we need because our manager wants us to have a best job, no, very organized job. So that's why we need first to discover everything. So next is the selection and testing of applicants. It's really also important of the work, no? Before the person or the workers or the employees enter of that establishment, no? We need to, because it's measure of your skills. It measure of your skills, because and measures your interest, because maybe the persons are without knowledge or without interest of that job. Maybe it's prone to rest, no? So that's why we need first we need to select and testing, no? Test the applicants first before you imo na siyang dawaton. So kuan jud, imo siyang i-audition, like that. Audition of an applicants is really important para mahibawan jud nimo kung kinsa jud tong pinaka the best workers na sakto tama kaayo sa inyong trabaho, tama kayo sa work. Next is the induction and training. It's really also important, the training of the applicants. Supervision and personal actions in the work process, really also important. Providing an incentive together with wage administration. And last is the cooperation between the labor and management. No, the cooperation. When you have a cooperation, of course, your work or the job is really organized, really nice, good, no? When you manage also. So analysis of the job. Analysis of the job, the term job analysis has long had to recognize meanings with corresponding objectives. So the first is that analysis of the job applies to the more or less superficial study of each job or work satisfactorily. No? The resulting information is summarized in a job specification, which is used in selecting applicants for employment. The objective is to make it possible for the interviewer to match more intelligently the applicant's qualification with the requirements of the job. So the second is that job analysis means the improvements of the methods of doing the work. This is more of the dissecting the work rather than describing it. In this kind of analysis, the first step is to determine whether the work is really necessary. If the work can be eliminated, therefore no more time is needed to spend it on it. Elimination of unnecessary work is considered the first technical step in any improvement program. So if the work is found to be unnecessary, the next step is to examine everything connected with the job, starting with the purpose of the work, the materials and equipment used, the condition under which the work is done after using motion analysis as a background. As a result of the above described detailed survey, several facts may be revealed. So the light may be inadequate or may come from the wrong direction. The machine may be in poor condition or may be obsolete. The materials may not come in proper shape to work on. The tools may be dull, not appropriate, or ever lacking. The worker may make many unnecessary motions, which not only spend time unprofitably, but likewise tire him quickly. The work may not be arranged to the best advantage. So the purpose of time study, as distinguished from motion analysis, is to determine the time required to perform each element in the operation, each operation in the job and the job itself. There are two reasons for time study. The first is to provide a basis for comparing performance of the same job and to establish a standard time for doing the work. An important consideration in this regard are the variation as to time and as to the causes. One thing to remember is that any variation from the standard operation must be eliminated or minimized, provided, of course, that conditions are standardized. No? So the time of operation should know, or what are how many products you or the elements you operated. So that's why the time should know and the required to perform each element in the operation. It's really important. And the second is to make possible the payment of workers on a production basis or on the basis of output. For instance, if a worker is paid 1 pesos an hour per stated output per hour, he is being paid for what he actually does, not simply for a stated amount of time, but in it. So it's possible now the payment of workers on a production basis. It's based for the production of in their wages, no, in their salaries, so that kung if the workers is paid 1 pesos an hour per stated output per hour. So this condition provides a strong incentive to effective work, provided that the rates are set fairly to begin with, and provided further that once the rate is set, it will be not changed for any reason except in change in method. So thank you for listening.
Selection of person selected to do the work involves finding the source of desirable applicants, followed by interviewing, testing, and choosing from the available ones who mostly nearly have the required qualifications. So what are the procedures and steps on selecting and testing of an applicants? There are many steps on that, but I will give you the 7 steps on testing and selecting of an applicant. The first is completion of the application form. You have to pass or fill up the application form. Second is the initial screening. This is a brief job interview to determine whether you are a qualified applicant. It happens mostly in phone call to clarify if you are interested in the job. Third, the job interview. It is an interview consisting of a conversation between the applicant and the job interview. This is the time that they will ask you many questions. Fourth, the assessment. This is the time that they will test you. The first that they will test is your knowledge. They will measure your IQ to determine if you will pass to the minimum score. Second, the aptitude testing. Third, vocational interest test. Fourth, the proficiency test. And the last is the personality test. The fifth step is background investigation. They will investigate your personal profession and personal history. They will also check your criminal records, education, employment history, civil records, reference, and many more. Sixth step is the medical examination. They will also look on your health, if you are healthy or not, because they want to assure if you can do the job properly, and also to avoid accident because of your bad health. If you pass the sixth step, the seventh step will be next. The job offer. This is the time that they will tell you if you are passed or not, and the time to tell you what your job that are fitted to you or what they will give you.
My topic is all about induction and training. What comes to your head if you heard the word induction or the word training? I guess the word training seems familiar than induction, right? For sure, these two words are related with each other. But first, let's talk about the induction. Induction is the procedure set for introducing new employee and orienting him in the company as a whole. So, this induction, the aim of this is to bring the employee to speed as quickly as possible, as well as making them feel socially comfortable and aware of their professional responsibilities. In other words, induction is about welcoming newly recruited employee and supporting them to adjust to their new role and working environments. We all know that starting a new job can be a stressful experience, and new employee used to help to settle in. A simple way of induction is showing the employee where to work and making him acquainted with nearby employee. The stage of induction should take into accounts two major aspects. First is acquainting the new employee with his new surrounding and its rules and regulations. It basically means that a new employee should familiarize his new working environment or get to know well so that along the way, the employee will be comfortable in his working area. And also, someone should teach the employee about the rules and regulations of the company to help the employee to understand what is expected and what will happen if they violate the rules and regulations. Knowing the rules and regulations can help the employee to improve their work in the company. The second is indoctrinating him in the philosophy of the company and its reason for existence. It means that teaching the employee to accept a set of beliefs without questioning them, and teaching them the reason of existence about the company, so that along the way it can maintain the good image of the company. But more companies build their programs in the first aspect than the second aspect. Nevertheless, an appreciation of the importance of indoctrination is growing nowadays. One of the purpose of induction is to give the new employee an information about the company and the requirements of and facilities provided for the employee. Information such as working hours, rate of pay, pay days, absences and tardiness requirements, vacation, special facilities, and the like. So that's all about the induction. So now, Let's proceed to the training. I guess mostly or all of you are familiar with the word training. So training procedure is the conduct of training. Tell the training is what you're going to cover because we know that training is to teach or help an individual to develop their skills and knowledge that relate to specific competencies. But it is not just enough to tell the new employee to do his work. It has to be shown. Training procedure basically it means to demonstrate and should handle clearly so that the worker can easily understand and follow each step. One of the first things as instructor must learn is to have a patience with the trainee who is earnestly trying to learn. So as an instructor, you should have a high patience toward your trainee. We know that being a trainee or in the working area for the first time is difficult, especially if we are new to that field. There is no person who became a veteran in the first attempt. So if you are also a trainee, you should also strive hard and help yourself to become flexible in that working area or in the field you choose. Like for example, if we relate it to our current situation as a college, we know that coping up in an online class is really hard than having a normal class, and we have different reasons for that. Though we are not working as a trainee, but we can relate it to our current situation, we must strive hard to learn like a trainee. For me, the first step is the hardest, but as we go along the way, we already learned how to blend in that working area or blend in with the new normal like now, like our online classes. Though it is really hard, but we must strive hard. There are different steps in training. First, be sure that the new employee understands what you have in mind. Second, show him carefully what you want to be done using patience, going into details and explaining the importance of each step. Third, have him watch someone perform the work and let him ask questions. Fourth, review the instructions. Fifth, then let him practice the work under supervision slowly at first. This is the time to practice until he has mastered the correct method. Sixth, review the instructions again. And seven, the last one, let him get more practice, gaining proficiency constantly until his output approaches the standard set for the work. Training is not limited to the new employee. All employees have to be retrained or prepared for promotions. For example, you are a teacher and you want to get promoted in a high position. So you need to take up the master's degree in order to get promoted. In short, you'll be schooling again or retrained. There is a saying that if the worker hasn't learned, the instructor hasn't taught. For me, it means the responsibility of trainees learning rests solely with the instructor. It is my view that the trainee has also the responsibility to willing to do as well. In short, we should also help ourselves to learn. We should not only rely on the instructor. The seed for training may arise because of first, normal growth or expansion. Second, labor turnover caused by transfers, resignations, retirement, marriages, and death. Third, new processes or technologies. Fourth, its usefulness as a tool of control. And fifth, its advantages in giving information, improving morale, or developing skills. The subject training are even more varied. They include job training, letter writing, public relations, industrial safety, company policies including the organizational setup, basic principles of economics management and supervision, human relations, and operative processes. Training may be on the job. This kind is essentially the job of supervisor. In some cases, another experienced worker may conduct a training, although this has this advantage of keeping him from devoting full time to his own job. A special instructor may also do the training. Second is training may be by apprenticeship. Formal and established apprenticeship procedures would include occasional lectures and classroom training. For example, someone who provides help to a skilled worker in order to learn to train himself. An example of that is a person who works with an electrician to learn the skill necessary to become skilled electrician, though it depends on the company if they give you the wage in this kind of training. Third is the internship training. This refers to a joint program of training in which schools and business cooperate, carry on regular school studies for periods ranging from 3 to 9 months. An example, the Philippines College of Arts and Trade and Don Bosco often cooperate with this industry in this way to train various vocational help. Another example of that is a student teacher. They are schooling while do their internship training in the other school or within their organizations only until their course is completed and is ready to accept permanent employment. Fourth is the learning training. During periods of heavy demand for and short supplies of semi-skilled labor, industry is faced with the task of training green hands or learners. The learners will receive a program of education and training. This is necessary because the learners come into industry without the rudiments of industrial knowledge. Since we're done in the training, so let's relate what is the difference and how induction and training related to each other. So induction and training are different but related to each other. They differ in a sense that induction is welcoming the new hire employee to the company, while training is helping the new entrant to gel up in the organization easily and quickly. Then, they relate to each other in a way that induction and training aim to facilitate smooth rehabilitation of the employee into the new organizations. The program helps to build up trust, confidence, morale, and a sense of belongingness in employees towards the organization so that the employee will give their best to the organization.
What is supervision? Supervision has its object the rendering of assistance to a worker so that the most of his time and effort. It is basically to direct the activities and to develop the worker. We have here the following functions of supervision or responsibilities of a supervisor. By the way, a person who performs supervision is called supervisor. First, the supervisor gives help and encouragement to any worker who may need it. Second, he teaches the worker the correct way to do work and patiently watches him until he has mastered it. Third, the supervisor sees that the work is supplied to the worker when and it is needed. Fourth, he sees that the work is turned out according to schedules. Fifth, to settle differences as they arise and thus keep order within the unit in addition to cooperative responsibilities. To discharge these responsibilities properly, the supervisor must understand what is required of his group, such as, first, he must know how to get work done and when it is being done correctly. Second, he must know how to give order and instructions so that they will be understood and followed. Third, the supervisor himself must be carefully and thoroughly trained for his job. The supervisor's job is to see to it that work is done. He is closest to the performance of actual work. It is used to be that the best supervisors were those selected from the best workmen. There is now a noticeable shift from technical competence to human relations. He should know much about the job as possible, but his leadership, his effectiveness in getting others to work well, and his effectiveness in acting as a bridge where the workmen and the management harmonize their problems and conflicts are even more important. The function of supervision is very important in business. Good supervision pays handsome dividends. Poor supervision is an expensive luxury. There are right and wrong attitudes and techniques of supervision. The wrong ones can be expensive, and the right one can save much time and money.
Good day, everyone. I'm going to talk about or discuss about the providing incentives together with the wage administration. So first, let me ask you about what comes to your mind or when you hear the word incentives. So for me, according to my knowledge or perspective based on the word is motivation. So an incentive is a type of motivation that provides strong support for a goal. It is worth stem from the fact that no one does anything without a purpose. So as we can see right now, people will not do anything without motivation, without a support for the goal. So if a new opportunity emerge, people will normally go as far as they think is worthwhile and then stop. Money or the prospect of a reward is a strong motivator. So it is rare to see a person doing such action without any motivation or motivator. So right now, as we can see, people is actually do something because of the bonuses or the wage that he can accept and through his hands. So the pleasure of working is a pleasant circumstances, pride in achievement, and a variety of other non-monetary reward are frequently successful. So if that person heard something about incentives, he will immediately put some efforts, passion of what he or she doing. However, not everyone respond to the same opportunity in the same way. This explains why some rewards programs succeed in some situation but not in others. The selection of the most effective or the combination of incentives require the study of all circumstances involved. If the financial incentive is, for example, chosen such as a reward in a form of additional money payments, it is necessary. If the effort is to maintain that the reward be definitely tied up with the efforts. So, as what I said earlier, people will never do something in a free way without any incentives or any motivations directly. So, we will go to wage administration. So, wage administration is an integral part of the work of personnel administration. Wage structures have to be set up. Employees must be paid according to their performances. So, you will be not get your wage if you will not do something, if you will never accomplish your assigned duty or work. So wage is something like your salary or the payback of what you are doing. It needs wage structures as a sound basis for budget estimate and to simplify the collective bargaining process. So wage payment may be on a time basis. Salary may be paid on a monthly basis. Payment may also be on an output basis. Piecework is an example. An employee is paid according to the number of units or his group completes. So there are characteristics of the satisfactory wage should be conform. First is, it should be such as to maintain the standard of living to which the employee is accustomed, or it should be the same wage paid in the community for, more or less, than the same kind of work. Second, it should be within the capacity of the company to pay. It should not cause the company to go into bankruptcy. Neither should be company use bad management as an excuse to pay substandard wages. Third, it must be comparable to prevailing wage rates in the community. Fourth, wage should be related to output. Wage plans should be readily understood by employees, and there is an incentive plan. It should be paid frequently so that the employee can see the result of his increased effort. And lastly is, the wage system should be facilitate the collection of cost data. So the result of motion analysis and time study may be established a fair day's work for an employee is as follows. So unit per hour is equivalent for 60. Unit per day of 8 hours is equivalent for 480. Unit per week of 40 hours is equivalent to 2,400. Wage per week is 30 pesos, and cost or rate per piece is 0.0125. Now, suppose that the worker X turned out 75 units an hour, or 3,000 units a week. On the piece rate basis, the worker therefore will receive the amount of 37 pesos and 50 cents instead of 30 pesos only to with. And 70 units less 60 equals 15 units extra. 15 units times 40 hours equals 600 units. 600 units times 0.0125 equals 37 pesos and 50 cents total earning, and 30 pesos plus 7 pesos and 50 cents equals to 37 pesos and 50 cents total earning. So, in the setting of the standard, extreme care should be exercised. It is too low, it is too easily reached. If too high, it is too difficult to reach. So, incentive wage can take many forms. The most common is the payment of higher rates for a quantitative or qualitative standard of employee performance, which is above normal. And that's all. Thank you.
Cooperation between labor and management. If you are thinking, what is labor management cooperation? It is a relation whereby labor management work hand in hand to accomplish a certain goals using manually acceptable means. It is the outcome of continuing process of enhancing trust and also respect. Other personal action may take the form of promotion, transfer, disciplinary action, and separation. Scope of transfer and promotion. Transfer and promotion is termed by internal movements of present employees. A transfer does not imply any ascending or descending change of status or responsibility. Promotion refers to the employee with increase in salary, status, and responsibilities. Disciplinary action includes policy, explanation of the process, and answer to common question. The purpose of disciplinary action is to correct the behavior and document issues. Separation may be voluntary or involuntary. Voluntary separation or resignation should proceed according to established personal procedure. Involuntary separation may be economic reason, disciplinary reason, incompetence, or retirement. Separation or dismissal as a disciplinary action for personal policies whereby separated employee had the opportunity to discuss the reason for the dismissal. Separation for incompetence are basically fault of poor recruitment, selection, and training. Retirement refers to the time of life when one chooses to permanently leave the workforce behind.